Hello and welcome. Happy Thursday. I'm excited to be here with you today. As usual, we're talking about MBA applications. So, our weekly lives are focused on business school applications, and each week we have a different topic that we cover based on, where applicants are on the journey. Some of those involve school-specific discussions. Some of them involve more macro-level strategy. So if you are going through the process, I definitely invite you to subscribe to our channel and don't miss any new updates that we are sharing. Today, we're going to focus on a school comparison. So MIT Sloan versus Columbia Business School. And we'll dive deeper into, the comparison, not necessarily going into each of the schools' nuances, given that we've done sessions like that in previous lives. And you can always go to our YouTube channel where we have a list of those specific videos and that library of videos that you can reference. But today we're going to focus essentially on how do you do a comparison and what you should be thinking about when you're choosing your schools. I know some of you are going through round 2 applications and of course, or round 2 application preparation, and whether you have selected your schools, your final list or not, or you are still in the exploring phase, this can be a very good session to look at, especially if you are looking at these particular schools. Before we dive into those details, you'll see me look on the side. I do have another screen which has the live comments. So if you have any questions along the way that are specific to MIT Sloan or CBS or anything else in relation to your application, please write your question in the comments of whichever platform you're joining us from, and I'll be able to see them on my screen over here on this side. In addition to that, I wanted to also invite to those of you who are waiting for Wharton's interview invite that is released today. First and foremost, deep breaths. Decisions haven't come out yet, but they will. And keep an eye out for those invites. And essentially, if you need support in that process, we do have Wharton TBD mock preparation. It's a simulation of the Wharton TBD experience. So, of course, if you've never never had an experience like that, simulating the Wharton TBD experience before showing up to the real thing can be really helpful in making sure that you deliver your best performance. And it is indeed a performance. So tomorrow I'll also be talking more about the Wharton TBD with the GMAT Club. So that is at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. If you go to our SIA website, there's a registration link there that you can register if that's something that you're interested in. Of course, it depends on today's outcome, but also if you are considering Wharton for round 2, definitely join us for that session. All right, I think we are ready to get started. As we do have 30 minutes, so we'll try to keep things as fluid as possible moving along. My presentation, just give me 1 second. Okay, so as an intro for those of you who are new to our channel, I am the founder of SIA Admissions, which is a boutique admission coaching firm. I have been a coach for over 8 years now, and focusing primarily on helping MBA candidates. Our coaching at SIA Admissions is really a tailored coaching approach. While we have a proven process in terms of all the different elements you must go through in terms of putting together your best application, we do recognize that we are working with individuals, and each individual has a personalized story that they want to share. We work really closely in understanding what those stories are and build strategies that are personal to those individuals to capture your unique capabilities, your unique strengths, and communicate those to a school that has its own requirements and its own expectations. We do have a very comprehensive approach to our guidance. We do believe that we want to be partners with applicants on their journey, and we want, partnership means we go through a lot of different discussions, brainstorming, and really understanding of how to best put together your specific application, while taking into account, of course, all the different elements that are necessary in order to capture a full presentation of your candidacy. So if you are looking to get support in this process, I invite you to have a consultation, 30-minute, there's no obligation. We get to talk about your profile, what you're looking for, and then determining if it's a good fit on both sides. So let's dive right in. So today we're going to talk about the program strengths, some of the key program differences between CBS and CBS and MIT, sorry, admission insights, some crafting the application and choosing the right program for you. Q&A is at the end on this list, but like I mentioned, please write your questions along the way, so that I can see sort of like where you're stuck and how can I support on this live. So let's start with MIT. So MIT has a relatively small class, 433 students, which includes the LGO program. Acceptance rate is about close to 18%. And they do have a very analytical approach to their curriculum. However, they focus a lot on action learning labs, which is really an experiential learning. So the curriculum is really strong, but it also requires a lot of your focus and attention in terms of really integrating what you learn in the courses with its corresponding action learning labs. The culture is very collaborative. It is also very much, there is an intellectual curiosity that is prevalent at MIT, including MIT Sloan. And this close-knit or very small group does enable you to really build strong bonds while exploring ideas. They do have a very strong global alumni and brand. So if I know, brand is an important element of the MBA process in addition to other components. So MIT should definitely be on your list if that's something that is important to you, especially if you are looking to, at some point, perhaps not working in the United States and you need that global presence or global network. MIT Sloan can be a really excellent school for that. In terms of opportunities, post-MBA opportunities, you have the consulting and finance, which is honestly prevalent across business schools, at top 20 business schools, but then also a lot more a stronger presence in tech than CBS. Again, these are comparison between these two schools, not across all top 20 business schools. Columbia, on the other hand, is a very large school, a very large class. Between the August and J term, there are 900 students, and they're divided into clusters so that you can still build bonds, but it is a very large size. J term, for those who do not know, that means it's a shortcut for January term. And those who typically target the January term, most of them do not require a summer internship, which is the reason why they can start in the January term. That class is typically smaller compared to the August term, which is the traditional full-time program. The acceptance rate is about 22%, and they do have a case-based learning approach combined with guest lectures. Most of them are professionals within the New York City offices of various different firms, depending on what it is that you are, what class it is that you are enrolled in. Given that it's New York, it's a very diverse environment, right? The culture at CBS is there is a focus around diversity, equity, and inclusion, but they also have an entrepreneurial spirit. And I don't mean that you need to be an entrepreneur, but what I mean is that there is an element around having the character of an entrepreneur, seeing opportunities, seeing opportunities, particularly when there's obstacles. And they do look for that in candidates when they are saying yes to them. In terms of post-MBA opportunities, of course, it's consulting and finance, but you will also see tech, real estate is very popular. So there's quite a lot of opportunities at CBS, post-MBA opportunities at CBS. The other element that Columbia has as a great value in terms of those who are considering the school is that it is located in New York City, and you do have a lot of opportunities to connect with alumni who are working at various different industry and have offices in New York City that you can leverage, being just so close to the action that is happening on the ground. So what are the program differences? So obviously, as you saw earlier, there is a class size and diversity differences. So class size at Columbia, it's very large, more globally diverse in terms of where students are coming from, versus MIT. It's smaller class, more close to half, I guess, or half the size of Columbia, and it's much more curated in terms of who is attending. You will see that there's a lot of students who, even though they're not coming necessarily from an engineering background, they are very comfortable with analysis, because the program there is much more analytically heavy. So applicants who are considering MIT must know that you must demonstrate that skill in your application to MIT. The teaching methodology is different. So if you are someone who really likes the case-based learning approach, then Columbia may be the right place for you. And MIT is really asking you to roll up your sleeves and do work in terms of, the action learning labs. So if you are really someone who enjoys the process of, working out the problems in real time, then the MIT Sloan may be the right program for you. In terms of post-MBA, the focus, Columbia has obviously, consulting. It's very prevalent in terms of, it coincides with or correlates with a learning methodology as well. But of course, because they're in New York City, their relationship with financial institutions is really strong. So those who are looking for working in the financial sector, Columbia may be a really good school for that. MIT Sloan also has many applicants that go into the finance and consulting space, but there's a lot of more product management focus at MIT Sloan. So typically more on the tech side of, or at least even if you're not in the tech sector itself, like the quintessential tech, the work that a lot of MIT Sloan applicants are involved in has innovation, tech slant, if you will, in terms of those opportunities. So if that's something that you are interested in, whether that is in consulting or finance, and you want to be a part of that innovation and part of the, changes that are happening in the business world, then MIT Sloan may be the better option for you. Let's talk a little bit about the admission process. So MIT Sloan, it's very transparent in terms of they tell you exactly what they're looking for. They also tell you exactly how they evaluate a candidate. And of course, when you think about, business schools, one can have very lofty ideas for the future. However, you must be able to demonstrate that you are someone who has already had successes in his or her career, and that is evidence of your ability or your potential with a bit more training and a lot more opportunity exposures, that you would be able to make a greater impact in your career long term. So your past has a role to play in your MIT Sloan application. And in that past, you do want to show that you have an analytic aptitude, which involves, a strong academic background, obviously experiences that allow you to demonstrate your analytic aptitude, and then the test scores. The school is quite competitive on that front, so I would look at MIT Sloan and demonstrate to them that you have the ability to succeed academically in that very rigorous environment. In terms of, values at MIT, you want to demonstrate that you are someone who is impact focused, right? You are someone who is looking to solve problems, age-old problems, and think of them differently in terms of how you're approaching the solution to those problems. It's about challenging the status quo on how things are done to make things smoother, easier, more efficient in the process. In terms of essay strategy, you obviously want to highlight your problem-solving capabilities. That is very, very important in terms of MIT Sloan. And this entrepreneurial mind, given that it is very much on the innovation side of business school spectrum. So you do want to showcase that you are someone who is very comfortable with challenging the status quo, as well as looking for new ways to leverage, new ways to essentially solve age-old problems and integrate technology analysis in those decision-making process. So when you work on the cover letter, you absolutely must showcase those elements. Your organization chart is going to help you get a different sense of where you fall in the spectrum of business school of your organization. And the different videos will allow you to show different sides of yourself, but all of those must really capture the MIT Sloan values that they're looking for. Columbia, on the other hand, they're really looking for strong leadership and a keen eye for identifying opportunities. Because Columbia is located in New York City, there's a lot of opportunities, and there's not a lot of hand-holding, unfortunately. So they're looking for individuals who are going to be able to leverage the opportunities that Columbia and New York City offers in terms of being able to have a successful career, to be successful during your Columbia experience, but also be successful in your career post-Columbia. It is very much a teamwork-centric, leadership approach. They do send a lot of people into consulting, into finance, and that is a quintessential character of what is required of those individuals. Therefore, they're looking for that in candidates that are coming in. Columbia, I mentioned earlier, is very much focused on diversity, equity, and inclusion, and you do need to communicate that inclusive mindset in your application. And there's literally an essay focused on that. Also, given that we all experience setbacks, it is really important to be able to demonstrate that you are someone who is going to be able to thrive, or rather, you're going to be able to handle setbacks. If someone says no, you won't be discouraged. You'll still continue to progress in the area that you're interested in. And I'm obviously making that a very small element of, larger setbacks that you can have. But essentially, Columbia is looking for individuals who are very much know where they're going, know what they want to do, and will leverage every opportunity that Columbia and New York City has to offer in terms of getting there. Columbia has a very global student body, and they want, obviously, individuals who can bring different perspectives into the classroom, into the discussion, to be able to collectively learn from your peers and also contribute to your peers' learning as well. In terms of essay strategy, you should be focusing quite a bit on clearly articulating how you're going to leverage Columbia Business School to get to your short and long-term goals, as well as how you're going to create inclusive environment at Columbia, your contribution, your ability to contribute effectively, your ability to invite others who may not have similar experience to you into the mix of the different experiences Columbia exposes you to. So making sure that you have clear directionality of where you're going, because of just how many opportunities are available at Columbia as well as New York City, that if you don't have clear directionality, it becomes really difficult to stay focused. And then, of course, be able to contribute as well to others' learning in the process. In terms of crafting a standout application, obviously, every school that you're applying to, even if you're using similar stories across the board, meaning you're obviously going to use your best stories, your best experiences, because this is a marketing of your candidacy to each school. You should, tailor your application to illustrate your relevant strengths in terms of what they're looking for and the unique culture of the program. So, copy-paste mentality of putting together these applications is really not the way to go. You do want to understand what each school offers, what they're asking in their essays, and being able to capture both authentic application, that is, what your experiences have been. So don't try to fit a mold that does not belong, or don't try to fit a box that you just don't fit in. But you do want to, sort of like marry the two, your personality and what you bring to the table, and showcasing that to the school in terms of also what they're looking for. Authenticity is really important, and demonstrating self-awareness and purpose is going to be very important in both of these schools' applications. So, but in terms of what they care about, it's going to be slightly different. So make sure that you are taking the time to reflect on how are you going to do this for Columbia, and or how are you going to do this for MIT Sloan, especially if you're applying to both of the programs. Don't forget that business school is about showcasing your skills, of course, but it's also about, it's much more important, your leadership potential, even and skills, even if you don't have a traditional leadership role. So you want to demonstrate that you are someone who can have ownership of the work that you are responsible for, and that you complete it with pride in terms of what you are delivering. It's really important in terms, sometimes I see applicants who are putting together applications and focus a lot on the technical abilities. Just know that this is business school, or just be mindful that this is business school, and your technical abilities are important, but not necessarily the thing that is going to get you in. I'm speaking especially to my fellow engineers out there who are really intelligent and have amazing skills. Keep in mind who your focus is. And even if you're applying to MIT, which is quintessential more engineering, or accustomed to engineers, you still want to demonstrate that you are not going to business school to be an engineer. You're going to business school to be a leader in the business environments that you choose to be in. In terms of putting together your letters of recommendation, make sure that you are choosing someone who can speak to your leadership potential, communicate what value and contributions you have made, and capture the character of what these schools are looking for in terms of the kinds of student that succeeds in this program. Make sure that you're choosing recommenders not based on their title, but based on their witnessing of you in action, and the work that you have done. Remember that business schools do ask for a feedback example, and your recommender must have given you feedback in terms of feedback for ways to improve. In how you should be thinking about when you're choosing the two programs or between two programs, first and foremost, you have to think about career goals alignment. So what are your goals? If you don't know what your goals are, then this is a place where you should be focused on before you start choosing which programs you're going to apply to. If you're applying to programs without knowing where you're going, you may end up having a much more harder time to one, convert to an offer of admission, but second, when you're there, things move really, really fast. So you don't want to be lost in that starting, in this next chapter in your career, because you are investing quite a lot, both in terms of the application, but also in terms of the salary you're foregoing for the 2 years you are in business school. So if your career goal is focused on finance and consulting, and you want to be in the middle of action, and you want to be where your ideal employers are, then CBS may be the right option for you. If you are looking to be in an environment where you want that intellectual stimulation with innovation and cutting edge sort of technological developments, then absolutely MIT is the right place for you to be in. In terms of culture, one of the things that I ask my clients to work on is to really look at what it is that they are, the kind of environment that they thrive in. Some people want a very close-knit kind of community, while others want, a lot of optionality. And no one can answer that question but you. But you do need to think about where you thrive in most, because 2 years can be very miserable if you are not in an environment where you want to be or you thrive in. And it can be, an amazing experience if you're really enjoying yourself. And I know that sometimes we conflict the two, as in, if you want to have this career, you have to be very serious and, all of that stuff. You actually want to have a combination of both. You want to be, obviously, take your process of your career development seriously, but also take the process of, building a network and having the right friends. In terms of the network, that's an important component that you must be thinking about when you're choosing the program. What is the network you want to have post-MBA? And this is a network that you're going to have, honestly, until the day you pass. You're connected to the school for the rest of your career. So what is the kind of network that you wanna have? If you imagine yourself being sort of a globetrotter, and you are traveling the world and want a network that is going to be helpful for you in making those moves, then MIT Sloan is going to be the right place. If you're looking for, Wall Street consulting in New York City, CBS may be the better option for you. So hopefully this was helpful in terms of making the decisions. When you are thinking about, comparing schools, it's not just about rank, it's about the combination of factors that you have to take into account. And those are some of the factors that you can consider when you're comparing MIT and CBS. I know I've been talking for quite a while, and we have like a minute and a half left, but if you have questions, definitely write them in the comments. I will stop sharing screens so that I can look at any questions that come in. And if we don't, I will answer a question that has come through the registration form. There are a few which we won't be able to go through today, but given our time constraint, but definitely join tomorrow. I will be on GMAT Club's interview prep session, as well as there is a booth at 1 o'clock where you can come in and ask any questions live. So the question is, should I use the same letter recommendation for both schools, or should they be different? They do ask essentially the same questions between Columbia and MIT Sloan. You can ask the same recommender because you want that person to be your best candidate in terms of a leader who has witnessed you in action. However, that you may want to emphasize slight different nuances between the two letters. So taking into account what MIT is looking for and taking into account what CBS is looking for. So it doesn't need to be entirely different pieces, entirely different letters of recommendation, but nuance differences, I think, would make a stronger letter of recommendation, and communicate with your recommender on what are some of the things that you want them to communicate in their individual letters of recommendation. So with that, I want to thank you for taking the time. Next week, we are going to compare Booth and Kellogg, so definitely join us for that session. We have the activities that we're hosting for the month of October, so look on their website, cadmissions.com, and register for any event that you are interested in being a part of that conversation, or at least be notified that the event is coming up, or just join our network, subscribe to our YouTube channel to be notified when new videos, new content is made available. So thank you very much for being here live or watching this as a replay, and I'm looking forward to seeing you next week.